nodes at 23 degrees, mass transportation, right? The nodes will click to 22. So there's a lot of moon energy this week, on top of the fact that there's a full moon. Are you ready? What? What? I got work to do. Okay, let's get to work. All right, here we go. Let's record. I think we're recording already. Welcome. This is G and special guest Taffy. The week of June 9th and the following 7 days. So here we go, June 9th and the following 7 days. And yeah, we got Jupiter at the top of the chart again. Jupiter and Mercury, actually. We're going to start kind of there. And the sun. These are kind of important planets this week. But that's not all. We also have the nodes that are important this week that are making a move. So we're starting with Jupiter and Mercury because look, yeah, we see that Jupiter has entered Cancer energy. It's at 0, 0. So this is very strong energy. Jupiter is exalted here, meaning it functions on a really high level here. It has no limitations, no boundaries. Jupiter, it's exalted. It's super strong. And typically, super strong, meaning Jupiter is going to do what needs to be done. And we think of what would Jupiter look like? Who is Jupiter? Judges. The first thing out of my mouth. Judges. We think of justice system. We think of rulings. We think of even Supreme Courts, whether they're going to have an opinion and take a case on and have a ruling. And more importantly, I never knew there was anything more important than the actual Supreme Court ruling. In my time, once the Supreme Court had a decision, that was it. It was the end all be all. But now here we are, and it's been, I think, a couple of months since the Supreme Court has made a decision about unlawfully basically kidnapping a citizen and then shipping them off to somewhere. The Supreme Court and their wording, their judgment, their decision against the government, because it was an illegal action of the government. Cancer energy is feelings and family and emotions and the public and women and the mother wound. It's also ancestry and history in the past. Okay, so Jupiter will expand and exaggerate some of these things probably. So this could mean the public is inflamed even possibly, because Cancer energy definitely is the public. Okay, it's also homes and housing. So I'm praying because they're together, Mercury, business, and Jupiter right there next to it. Mercury is the markets, does rule the markets, does rule, like the stock market and business in general, and like sales, and it's very busy merchant-like energy. So, we think, of course, the tariff stuff. But homes, family, and women, it's conjunct Mercury at the beginning of the week. So for sure, Mercury, social media and news outlets, communications with family is big. So for sure, travel, because it's Jupiter, and we think possibly people traveling for family reunions and whatnot. So Jupiter can be, I'm getting in the airplane, right? And this can also be an authority figure in your life, like dad, authority figure, boss at the job, authority figure, someone who has authority over you in some way. Can be a religious figure or spiritual figure, can be a politician, That kind of sets the tone for this whole week and leading up to the full moon, because this is the 9th. And the full moon is literally, a couple days away? Yeah, it's on the 11th. So in 2 days' time, there's a full moon, and it's in Sagittarius energy. If you haven't checked out that video, go check it out. It'll give you more details to the full moon. I'm just going to let you know right here that it is a full moon at 20 degrees in Saggy. And remember, Jupiter rules this full moon. Justice, the judicial system. I'm hoping there's some enforcement of the rulings, because there hasn't been so far any enforcement of their, I shouldn't say all their rulings, but for those in the United States government, they seem to believe that they are above the law. So with that, maybe we'll see a little bit of action because we got Mars. Mars doesn't move far, but it starts the week at 25. And that's in fire energy. Well, when you look over here, Sagittarius 25, 26, 27, it's the galactic center. And usually this is like Supreme Court stuff because that's just it's a lot of power. It is considered like a point of need, a point of belief, but there's a lot of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Compounded power here and energy with Jupiter energy and Sagittarius. So the justice system and the maybe the Department of Justice. And yeah, I'm not sure how, because things are so wacky, literally. We can't really go by the way things would normally work because nothing is functioning as it typically normally would. So it's a very hard time to predict, basically. When we talk about that 27 degrees and it being trined by Mars. So this is a strong trine this whole week, but it's a grand fire trine because over here in Aries, we have angry Eris in Aries, female version of Mars. And then we have Chiron, the wounds of my body, wounds about my appearance of my body, or literally the wounds that occurred to my body. We think like soldiers, but we also think of people who others look at and make a judgment call and maybe think, you're not this, you're not A or B, so therefore you don't have any freedoms or any rights. You're somehow subpar, or you're just not good enough because you don't look a certain way. Wounds about my appearance, Chiron and Aries, and my right to exist, me feeling as though my very existence is under threat. So you see that trine in there. So it's a lot of fire. Fire is usually about taking action. It's active. It's alive. It's moving. That's fire energy. Leo energy is very, very courageous. It's kind of fearless. It likes to take risks. Mars is typically known as the soldier, and this is at the Aries degree, the fighting degree. So Mars is at the fighting degree along with his sister, Eris. They're both at the fighting degree. And it's trining the justice and the judicial system, 27 degrees. Remember, Jupiter is freedom. Freedom of my beliefs, freedom of my religion. That's Jupiter. And the government is not supposed to be conforming to any religion. And when we look at Virgo, usually service industry. And when we think service, it isn't just like hotel, hospitality, restaurants, but service as in to serve and protect as well. Yeah. 22 degrees. Again, this is an authority figure. Think Saturn energy, duty, responsibilities, and very serious energy. It is also corporations. I will add that. It's corporations as well. So when the South Node gets to 22, the Sun, right? That's why we got this T-square in here. It actually is squaring the North and the South Node, and it begins right at the beginning of the week. You have the Sun at 19, and the nodes are moving backwards. So it's a T-square that's tightening up. It's stress and tension with the government, with the details, with the minutia, with healthcare. So the combination of the authority figure and Sun energy and Gemini energy, business, right? Writing and business and sales. And that's where the talking comes in. I'm telling you what's going on over here, where in reality, something's going on over there. The Gemini energy can speak out of both sides of its mouth, right? So we always have to kind of be flexible We just have to be flexible and be like, I'll believe it when I see it. Like that's almost, yeah, this is just the way it's got to be during these times. The other thing too is that Mercury begins this week at the 1 degrees, and she'll actually get to 12 degrees by the end of the week. And that's a Pisces degree. That's Pisces energy, which speaks to something. Pisces can be an ending, can be, I've completed this cycle. It can also be the authority figure. And we think government and we think the institutional energy. When we see Jupiter, we think institutional energy. When we see the number 12, we think institutional energy. Something or someone can disappear, right? But that's not all. That's not all. It's when the sun hits 24 degrees, which is also a Pisces degree. So there's this combination of corporations and duty and responsibility and very serious energy. And if you've been following along with the tariffs and all that crap, the expectation is that come June, there should already be something written and agreed upon. And if there isn't by June, then they're saying to really expect like bare shelves, like really empty shit, especially for school supplies, because that's like the next big shopping thing once we get through summer. But people start shopping for school June and July. I feel like a politician, a public figure, likely someone who's higher up, I think there's going to be some news this week with what's going on in regards to trade and the money, the finances, because even Uranus, shocks and surprise and supply chain, is at the moon degree, 28 degrees. So there's a lot of moon energy this week, on top of the fact that there's a full moon. But remember, with all this in Cancer, it increases your emotions, your feelings, your empathy, and thinking about the past. And even if you don't think about it, the best way I can relate to this is I'm not one to really ponder too much on the past, especially like I'm not one of those, I don't know. Some people like to keep around like family albums and shit and pictures of, the grandkids and cousins and mom and dad. Like that's not me. It's not. I tried it. I literally tried it. I tried putting the shit on the walls and I found, I don't know, I had to take it down. I had to take it down. And anyway, I just, it was too much for me. It was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't be surrounded by the past like this. I feel like I'm being suffocated or something. So for me though, whenever my Cancer energy gets triggered, what happens with me is it starts aspecting and trining, of course, the Scorpio and the Pisces, right? The really intuitive and, it brings forward the past a lot for me. And so I start energetically connecting with the past. Does that make sense? And that can be different cultures. I know that seems strange, but if you think about possibly, if you believe in not living just one life or possibly having a multi experience, multi soul personality, whatever experience where we're living simultaneously somewhere else. Yeah, I don't have a black and white clear idea of it all or have a clear belief on it all. But I do know that I can connect to things from the past that I'm not necessarily consciously aware of. But yet, it's like I feel the history. Like I feel it. So that's just to give you, a little bit of an idea of if you're not talking with family, it's a little bit of another example of what this week could be like in terms of that Mercury going through Cancer energy, all in the past, all in the emotions and feeling. And some people, especially, they'll say they're very emotional around these times. So you just do the things you got to do to keep yourself balanced and optimistic. And, maybe you needed a good cry, right? that would make a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. So, overall for this week, the big story is obviously Mercury and Jupiter, but it didn't just happen today at the start of the week. But they're big because they're still really close to each other here. So we think of the belief systems and my thoughts about the future and my tribe energy. Like, who do I want to be around? Who do I consider my family? And your freedoms within that, especially for females. Especially for females. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it helpful. And I just want you to remember that I always, 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 always appreciate your time. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Say bye, Taffy. Say bye. Say bye. You got to sit and supervise the whole time. Are you going to help me? Taffy. Hey. Hello. Are you going to help me? Are you going to help me?